President Trump holding a rally outside Detroit tonight to mark his 100th day in office.
He spoke for an hour and a half about what he says are his top achievements so far and went after his political rivals, including former President Joe Biden. National correspondent Audrey Alnashar was there and has more from Michigan.
I'm Audrey Alnashar in Warren, Michigan, where President Trump is holding his biggest public event since he was inaugurated 100 days ago. And that's a critical benchmark in any presidency. While polls show the general public is starting to sour on the president's handling of some key issues like the economy, some supporters I'm talking to here say they feel like they are getting what they voted for, but in some instances want to see more. USA! USA! How would you describe the last 100 days? So much has happened.
Actually, I would say it's biblical. Things are happening. This is a president that's getting it done.
I love the fact that Elon Musk is fighting all the corruption.
I think if you look at what he's been able to do on the border, where he hasn't had any opposition, that's indicative of where we'd be somewhere else.
Is there anything you want to see President Trump focus more on?
Well, I'd say now that the immigration and the borders kind of, handled to an extent, I think we should shift our focus to the Ukraine-Russia war.
No taxes on tip, no taxes on overtime, no taxes on Social Security. I need Congress. Get in there and get the job done. This is what we voted for this administration to do. Get the job done. We're ready.
Now, this isn't technically a campaign rally, but Michigan is a battleground state. Its Senate and House races will be big prizes in next year's midterm elections. And Michigan is where Trump held his final campaign rallies of the 2016, 2020, and 2024 elections. And last November, he won the state narrowly, and that was key to his presidential victory. In Warren, Michigan, I'm Audrey Alnashar.
I'm Kayla Gaskins in Washington. As President Trump hits 100 days in office, the public faith in his economic leadership appears to be faltering. What new polling shows in the White House.
56 News, first at 10.
President Donald Trump campaigned on lowering prices and making the economy better for everyday Americans.
As he hits his 100 days in office, the public faith in his economic leadership might be faltering.
National correspondent Kayla Gaskins reports from Washington.
As President Donald Trump marks 100 days in office, the White House is touting the benefits of his economic policies as the American public grows skeptical.
President Trump is delivering on his promises to lower costs for American families and businesses. Prices across the board for everyday goods have seen declines since this president was inaugurated. From airfare to used motor vehicles to prescription drugs, prices are dropping.
Fresh polling from the Pew Research Center, though, shows Americans' faith in President Donald Trump's economic decision-making is at the lowest point of his political career.
Look at the actual data, and the actual data has been quite good. The job data is good. Americans keep spending. And as Caroline said, we have these incredible commitments to bring manufacturing back on shore with record investment.
New polling from Gallup shows a majority of Americans are skeptical about the benefits of tariffs. But the White House says these policies are what's best for the country.
The president finally said enough is enough and refused to allow America and our workers to be ripped off any longer on trade. President Trump implemented powerful tariffs to end the era of economic surrender and to rebalance America's trading agreements.
President Trump set to ease tariffs for automakers, rolling back some tariffs on foreign parts used to make cars in the U.S.
We just wanted to help them during this little transition, short term. And during this little, if they can't get parts, it has to do with a very small percentage. If they can't get parts, we didn't want to penalize them.
The White House addressing a report that Amazon will start showing a little number next to the price of each product, indicating how much the Trump tariffs are adding to the cost of each item.
This is a hostile and political act by Amazon. As Reuters recently wrote, Amazon has partnered with a Chinese propaganda arm. So this is another reason why Americans should buy American.
An Amazon spokesperson disputed the reporting, saying showing price impacts by tariffs was never a consideration. Secretary Bessent was also on Capitol Hill Monday, where he reiterated there are three legs to President Trump's economic agenda: trade, deregulation, and taxes. Bessent set the deadline for Congress to implement Trump's tax policies as July 4th. In Washington, I'm Kayla Gaskins.
UPS is cutting 20,000 jobs to lower costs as the company prepares for weaker columns. UPS's shares rose 2% on news the company's first quarter profits beat estimates. It's expecting to save $3.5 billion from the cuts, as well as by shutting down 73 of its buildings by the end of June. Tariffs are also an ongoing concern. UPS faces a downturn in volume from China-linked e-commerce seller Temu.
The United Nations World Food Program is cutting jobs after recent funding cuts by the U.S. The Associated Press reports the World Food Program is expected to cut up to 30% of its staff. The announcement comes after the Trump administration ended funding earlier this year. The World Food Program received 46% of its funding from the U.S. just last year. Job openings are at their lowest since September. U.S. employers posted 7.2 million jobs in March. That's down 300,000 from February and almost 1 million year over year. Labor Department data shows a small rise in Americans quitting their jobs, a possible sign of confidence in the economy. Layoffs fell to their lowest since June.